What allows certain males to remain composed, honored, and firm, while others are pulled into constant drama, losing their identity bit by bit? This outcome is not accidental. It is based on insight. The wisdom I am about to share with you will shift your entire perspective. Once you grasp this, no one can use affection as a bargaining chip. They cannot toy with your heart. You will no longer be trapped because the illusions will fade away. Stay focused, as I am going to uncover 5 fundamental principles that will stop the mind games forever and return the reins of your life to your hands. I do not want you to simply listen to this content. I want you to adopt it as a life-altering moment. Right now, take a second to join our community, show your support, and in the feedback section, post this phrase, "I will no longer remain in the dark." That is your vow. That is your beginning. Once that is settled, keep watching. Because the very first principle will reveal why the affection you believed in might never have been as selfless as you imagined. Number 1, the distinction between transactional and authentic affection. Most men enter a partnership with complete innocence. They hold a firm conviction that when a partner expresses love, it encompasses their entire being, their flaws, their hardships, their vulnerabilities, and their setbacks. They envision this love as a permanent light, unwavering and total. However, the cold reality is different. Much of what is encountered in modern dating is not selfless. It is transactional. It is a form of care that exists only within specific requirements and limits, whether they are stated or hidden. Reflect on this. How does her demeanor change when financial resources dwindle? How does her perspective shift when your level of focus on her decreases? Or when the initial thrill of the romance fades? Suddenly the heat turns into a chill. Suddenly the care feels burdensome, connected to hidden requirements you never spotted previously. That is transactional love at work. This does not suggest that women lack empathy. It suggests they are naturally inclined to favor safety, permanence, and support. Their feelings often reflect the environment around them. When things are secure, when you are steady, when you are providing, their care burns more intensely. But when those elements disappear, their attitude transforms. The risk for men is failing to identify this cycle early on. This is the blunder many men commit. They provide without limits. They dedicate energy, time, funds, and faithfulness to the connection, anticipating the same level of commitment. They assume that giving up things guarantees a return, but life does not function that way. Men continue to provide until they are empty, until they are spent. Then they wonder, confused, why their faithfulness was insufficient. The issue is not that requirements exist. The issue is that men refuse to admit they are there. Men hold on to the dream that affection will always match their output, and that dream eventually destroys them. Because when she distances herself, when her care starts to feel like a business deal, they see it as a strike against them instead of simply seeing things as they are. Now, this is where the change occurs. Once you accept the reality, you do not become resentful. You become enlightened. Rather than providing without thought, you begin to study the situation. You stop being swayed by kind phrases and start evaluating behavior. You stop judging her care based on how she acts when you are thriving and start measuring how she functions when you are at your lowest point. This is the start of clarity. You understand that much of what you perceived as total devotion was actually just appreciation for your reliability, thanks for your labor, or comfort in what you offer, not a deep bond with you as a person. Once you witness this, you cannot ignore it. How does this awareness give you power? It compels you to stop investing too much. It serves as a reminder that affection is not an unlimited fund you drain until you are bankrupt. It shows you how to establish limits, to analyze before you provide, and to demand a return instead of just hoping for it. Transactional affection does not mean you are lost. It means you must stop walking through life with your eyes shut. If she only cares for you when you are at the top, but vanishes when you stumble, you have found your answer. If her warmth changes based on your finances, your rank, or your vitality, then you see exactly what her care is founded upon. And when you see that, you stop being its victim. The man who internalizes this stops draining himself without restraint. He guards his assets, his minutes, his vitality, and his faithfulness. He is selective about who deserves them. He does not lock his heart away, but he keeps watch over it. That one adjustment alters the entire dynamic, because once you understand this truth, you are no longer craving her validation. You are no longer oblivious to the requirements driving her care. You become intentional, careful, and influential. And when a man reaches that state, the situation changes for good. Number 2, the potency of your focus. Most men fail to value it. They handle their focus as if it has no worth, handing it out to anyone like a free sample. But focus is not without cost. It is among the most precious assets you own. Every look, every message, every kind word, every late-night talk is vitality, and vitality is weight. Weight is power. Here is the trap. When you find a woman attractive, you flood her with focus. You message her non-stop. You react to all her posts. You celebrate every minor detail she shares. At the start, it seems harmless, perhaps even kind. You believe you are just showing interest. What you fail to see is that oversupply destroys worth. Anything that is too easy to get is undervalued. Women grasp this intuitively. They realize how focus boosts their ego. They know the rush of being craved, admired, and confirmed day after day. For many, it is not even about deep connection. It is about the excitement of being pursued. The more you offer, the more they take, but it does not always draw them closer. In fact, the result is often the opposite. You have likely witnessed it. The man who is perpetually reachable, always calling, always pursuing, becomes invisible. His existence is so permanent that it carries no weight. She does not wonder about him. She does not feel his absence. Why? Because he is already there every moment waiting on her. The pursuit is finished before it even starts, and she feels no requirement to contribute. But observe what happens when a man pulls back. Suddenly, the quiet is louder than any words. Suddenly, not being there says everything. When the stream of validation stops, curiosity takes over. She begins to see the void. She starts to ask, where did he go? Why is he silent? Who is he focused on now? That shift sparks interest, even a bit of concern. This is the reality. The more selective you are with your focus, the more influential it becomes. When you stop handing it out thoughtlessly, it turns into something precious. And being precious creates worth. Your look becomes significant. Your kind words carry impact. Your time feels like a reward, not a given. This is where most men fail. They believe pulling back is about being mean. It is not about being mean. It is about self-respect. Respect for your own vitality. When you understand that your focus is significant, you stop wasting it on those who do not match your effort. You stop seeking validation from someone who only wants the limelight but offers nothing back. This is when the dynamic shifts. Instead of being the man who begs for a glance, you become the man she strives to reach. Instead of fighting for her approval, you see that your approval is the real prize. The more you focus on yourself, your objectives, your evolution, your health, your finances, the more valuable your focus becomes. Think about it. A man who drains all his vitality in a pursuit ends up exhausted and neglected. But a man who directs that vitality into his own existence becomes a magnet. He does not need to chase anyone. Others pursue him because his focus feels like something that must be earned. So, the point is simple. Guard your focus like a treasure. Give it with care, not freely. Observe how people act when they see it is no longer guaranteed. The same people who once ignored you will start to change. They will move toward you. They will strive for what you no longer give out easily. And here is the final thought. When you grasp the potency of your focus, you stop living as a pursuer. You turn into one who chooses. In that instance, the dynamic with women changes entirely. Number 3, mastery over your feelings. For many years, men have been taught to prove affection through how they react. If she overlooks you, chase harder. If she pulls away, try more. If she is angry, match her volume with passion. And if she says she might leave, you plead, thinking that desperation proves your love. This pattern has kept many men in a state of emotional debt, making them captives of their own internal reactions. Here is what you must see clearly. The most powerful tool many women use in dating is not their appearance or their charm. It is their capacity to trigger your feelings at will. They check your temper, they check your envy, they check your self-doubt. Every time you lose your cool, panic, or beg, you provide evidence that they are in charge. If she realizes that ignoring you makes you spiral, she can use that. If she knows your envy makes you erratic, she can spark it. If she knows your fear of being alone makes you plead, she can pull that string. Your reactions become her leverage. The more predictable your outbursts are, the easier you are to steer. But everything shifts the moment you gain mastery, when her silence no longer disturbs you, when her moods no longer cause you to panic, when her ultimatums no longer shatter your poise. Suddenly, the tactics fail. Your quiet nature makes her uneasy. Your stability confuses her. Your refusal to break under stress forces her to deal with you on a fair level. Grasp this. A man who cannot govern his feelings is a toy. A man who can govern them becomes invincible. Mastering your feelings does not mean turning them off. It means refusing to let them drive your behavior. It means recognizing that uncontrolled anger is a sign of fragility. That loud envy is a sign of self-doubt. That pleading, even when disguised as loyalty, is truly just desperation. Imagine this. She walks away, waiting for you to follow. You remain still. She ignores you, waiting for a frantic apology. You go about your business, steady and calm. She mentions leaving, waiting for panic. You answer with quiet power, prepared to let go if honor is missing. That is emotional mastery in action. Do you know what the result is? Respect, because the power of a man is not judged by how loud he shouts or how fast he reacts. It is judged by how anchored he stays when the storm hits. People are drawn to a calm, steady presence, to a man who cannot be steered like a child's toy. Mastery over your feelings makes you that man. Here is the deeper change. Governing your feelings also changes your self-perception. You stop feeling bad for having emotions, but you no longer let them lead the way. You realize that silence often says more than 1,000 words. You learn that walking away is often the most powerful thing you can do. In that quiet, you find strength. The fact is, when you gain mastery, you shatter an ancient cycle of manipulation. Crying no longer moves you. Anger no longer scares you. Withdrawal no longer controls you. She sees that she must treat you with honor, not games. She must display real integrity, not passing drama. Most importantly, when you govern yourself, you govern the dynamic. Not through force or tricks, but by refusing to be a piece on her chessboard. You define the pace. You define the mood. She either matches your standard or she departs. Either way, your honor remains. This is why governing your feelings is the third principle every man must adopt. Without it, you will always be reacting, always moving to someone else's rhythm. With it, you set the beat and the situation changes for good. Number 4. The truth regarding alternatives. From a young age, men are fed a harmful myth that women are the prize and a man must hunt, prove his worth, and put on a show just to keep their focus. This notion breeds desperation. It makes men think that if they lose one person, they will never find another. So they hold on tight. They tolerate poor treatment. They lower their expectations. They settle for less. All because they believe she is the only chance they have. But here's the reality. Men have alternatives too. The difference is that a woman's alternatives are often presented to her, while a man's alternatives are constructed by him. A young woman can enter a space and draw focus without effort. For a man, alternatives do not appear out of thin air. They are built in the gym when he picks hard work over rest. They are built in his profession when he spends years becoming stable. They are built in his personality when he develops poise, social intelligence, and a mission. A man who refuses to construct his value stays in a state of lack. His alternatives remain few, and so does his influence. But a man who builds is never without a path. He is not frantic because he knows his worth increases every time he improves himself. When he realizes this, the entire relationship dynamic flips. Consider this. If you think she is the only one who will ever care for you, you will tolerate her tricks, her disrespect, and her lack of effort. You will take partial affection because you fear having none at all. But if you know there are many people who would value the man you have become, you will never plead to stay in a place that takes from you. Having alternatives creates freedom, and freedom is influence. This is why people are often pulled toward those who do not seem scared to lose them. They sense a lack of desperation. They sense choice. Ironically, that very energy, the ability to walk away, is what makes you more desirable. Nothing is more magnetic than a man who does not cling out of terror. Here is the turning point. Once you see your alternatives, you stop acting like a person in need. You stop making yourself small to keep someone's focus. You stop trading your dignity for a bit of warmth. You stand tall, knowing that if one person departs, another will show up. And often, they will be a better fit. This does not just change how she views you, it changes how you view yourself. Suddenly, being turned down does not scare you. Silence does not break you. An ending does not ruin you because you know there is plenty more and you can attract it. That frame of mind removes desperation from your vibe, and others feel it immediately. A man with alternatives does not just stay, he selects. He does not beg for honor, he insists on it. He does not fear a loss, he accepts it. Because he can leave at any point, tricks no longer work. Threats fail. Guilt fails. Scarcity has no power over him. So the point is this: build yourself until you have a choice. Focus on your health, your work, your abilities, and your mind. Create your own alternatives, and you will never again be stuck by the fear of losing one person. Once you see the reality of alternatives, you stop living in fear. You start living in freedom, and that freedom makes you untouchable. Number 5, personal honor. Too many men enter a partnership ready to offer everything: their minutes, their labor, their funds, their devotion. But they discard the one thing that truly matters: honor for themselves. They value romance over dignity. They value craving over standards. They value looks over boundaries. When they do this, they surrender their status without realizing it. A man without honor for himself is like a town without a fence: easy to enter, easy to take over, easy to rule. Others sense this immediately. They know when a man is willing to break his own rules just to keep them around. They know when he will ignore deception, excuses, or failed oaths because he fears losing them more than losing his own character. Once they spot this gap, they will test it repeatedly. Here is the harsh truth: if you cannot stand up for your own honor, you cannot stand up for your love either. You can provide tokens, write messages, and give up your time, and still be cast aside because none of it counts if you have shown her that you are willing to betray yourself just to keep her. Affection without self-honor is not affection. It is yielding. Now imagine the reverse. Picture a man who sets clear limits, not walls to keep people away, but boundaries that define how he is treated. He does not accept yelling, insults, tricks, or betrayal masquerading as care. He does not accept being a backup plan while offering his best. He does not accept half-hearted interest from someone who expects his total focus. That man is not full of himself. He is not mean. He simply has honor. Here's the weird part. The second you value self-honor over desire, you become more magnetic, not less. Your words mean something because you are firm. Your presence draws focus because you show power. You do not have to ask for honor, you project it. People, including women, respond to that vibe. Self-honor also changes the entire dynamic. When you lift your standards, she either rises to them or she goes. Either way, you are the winner. If she rises, you have a partner who truly values you. If she goes, your dignity stays with you. There is no loss there, but without honor, the path is painful. You will endure disrespect. You will make sense of lies. You will accept poor treatment as if it were normal. Over time, you will not just lose her, you will lose your soul. That is the quiet fading of a man's essence. Here is the moment of clarity. Once you value your own honor, everything else fits into place. Your focus becomes more precious because you no longer throw it away. Your feelings come under your command because you refuse to be pulled into drama. Your alternatives grow because you no longer settle. Your care becomes more powerful because it comes from a place of choice, not need. This is the final principle that holds all the others together. Care without honor is a fake. A partnership without honor is a sell. A man without self-honor is defeated before he even begins. Never trade your dignity for temporary warmth. Never give up your peace just to say you are not alone. Never let looks trick you into dropping your standards. Honor yourself first, and every other part of your life will change. Once you choose self-honor, you become untouchable. And when a man is untouchable, the games finally stop. You have now viewed the 5 principles every man must grasp. Care is not always total. It often comes with requirements. Your focus is not free. It is a form of power. Your feelings are not weapons for someone else. They are tools for you to govern. Your alternatives are not few. They grow as you build yourself. Above all, your self-honor is not up for trade. It is the base of everything. When a man finally sees these truths, something big happens. He stops living in the dark. He stops providing without thought. He stops giving up his dignity in the name of care. He does not become angry. He becomes aware. He becomes sharp. He becomes intentional. See the contrast. One man begs for crumbs of care, always reacting, always hunting, always dropping his standards just to keep someone near. The other man stays firm. He analyzes, he selects, he guards his vitality, watches his focus, governs his feelings, accepts his alternatives, and honors himself. Which man do you think gets respect? Which man do you think people can no longer toy with? This is the shift that stops manipulation. Once you see through the tricks, once you stop being moved by the same old patterns, once you understand your worth, it is over. The old ways fail. The silence, the tests, the threats, the pulling away, they all fall flat because you see them for what they are. You are no longer a piece on the board. You are the one playing. Here is the truth you must hold on to. Once men grasp this, the old games cannot win. Not because others lose, but because the tactics lose their power. What stays is honor, clarity, and real bonds. That is where true care can happen. If you have reached this point, do not keep this awareness to yourself. Join us now so you never miss the ways to stay in charge of your life. Support this content and share it with others who need to see the truth, and leave a comment below. Tell me which of these principles moved you the most and how you will use it. Because the second you live these truths, you are no longer the one being led. You are the one leading, and that is when everything truly changes.